was really new, and you saw what the Italians were doing. Ponti's most famous design was innovative because it updated a familiar concept. It took the ordinary cafe chair, the Charivari chair, and made it super light, which is what this says in Italian, and the ad said, you know, a little boy could lift it with one finger. This is the kind of thing that Ponti did. This is much later, very contemporary design, not really international style. Very innovative, light scale, light concept, lets you. He experimented with irregular geometric forms. And he used a lot of stripes. He collaborated with Piero Fornasetti, who's an artist known for his silkscreen designs, and I'll show you on some of the plates. But Ponti designed the forms of furniture, Fornasetti decorated them. The new things in Milan, in Italy, were debuted at the Triennale, which was every 3 years the big design fair. Now there is still a Milan fair every year in Milan, the main furniture fair. Milan and Cologne. Milan has the more innovative design. Every 3 years, the more avant-garde. After the war, the Triennale of '51 was the first one after World War II. It was the one at which the Scandinavians won many, many awards. And it was the one at which the Scandinavians really came to international attention. But it was also the one at which, and thereafter, the Italians were showing what they could do and gradually began to outstrip the dominance of the Scandinavians by coming up with newer and newer things. I just want to show you a little more of what Fornasetti did, particularly interesting because you see this show next to the Gubbio Studiolo. Fornasetti did trompe l'oeil designs, which were looking three-dimensional, but actually two-dimensional. He also did these. Has anybody seen pieces like this? This particular look in graphics, he did a whole series with the woman's face, and she was, I think, his mistress. There are also a series of them with sunbursts, various sunbursts. You know, smiling suns, smaller smile, larger and smaller on plates. And once you've seen a couple of them, he has a series with, what he's called, with balloons, multicolored hot air balloons. These are neither modern nor not modern. They are not a particular style. I wanted you of this to be able to say, oh yes, I've seen these. And again, he did screens and furniture with three-dimensional, with trompe l'oeil designs. And a car. I thought this was just fun. I have no idea. I assume this was a custom car. Carlo Molino was an early modernist in Italy around the same time. In the 40s, he did seating pieces like this. The ones at the bottom were theater seating. So he's moving in a direction towards a more modern aesthetic. And these pieces, this was a few years ago, was the most expensive piece of furniture that sold at auction. He's exploring abstract shapes. This is in a laminated wood base of the table. And again, this is where Italian design made its mark. Now, one student this afternoon said, who would buy that? Where would somebody put this chair? Well, I don't know. The point is not that, first of all, they were cheap. They shipped inexpensively. They were using new materials, and they were like nothing that anybody had ever seen before. This was called Joe. It was named after the baseball player, Joe DiMaggio. And the other thing that they say is that it was named after the designer Joe Colombo. So there are two different theories. But in America, they called it after Joe DiMaggio. In Italy, they called it after Joe Colombo, whose work I'll show you. This is still in museum. This is the kind of thing also it's saying furniture is fun. Hey, design is not something that's so serious. We could play around with it. This Castiglione, there were two brothers. This is Achille. This was the kind of thing they would do. This is a tractor seat. you know, they have the technology, you can have a tractor seat, so why not make a real seat out of it? This is sort of a stool, it's comfortable. You could use this as a kitchen stool. Came in I think high-low version. It's probably still being made. This was made with a conventional bulb. This was one of the early uses of halogen lighting. If you were looking for something in modern design and buying modern, even Bauhaus furniture, let's say in the post-war years, if you went to most lighting places, you would find a conventional lamp with a parchment shade. The Italians were the ones who were doing modern lighting with the new technology. And even now, I find most of the interesting lighting I see turns out to be Italian. Maybe not made from scratch now. I think I might have told you how if I had the money when I was first married, before Danish, I would have killed to have Barcelona chairs at the table. This is the lamp. Because the lighting, you know, obviously it's not really lighting this newspaper very well. If you have a lavish chair and a coffee table here, this comes right over the coffee table. This is still made, this is still widely copied. Joe Colombo died early. He was one of the most innovative of the early Italian designers. This chair, this is plastic, the one in the middle. It's made of two pieces. And the two pieces that kind of lock together like a puzzle. This is 3 units that go together and you can shape them differently. So you can form, it can be a lounge, or this one can come up and you can have a conventional seat. This is plastic, so pieces like this are molded. They were not very expensive. They weren't dirt cheap. They weren't IKEA price. But this has drawers that come out so that every art director would want to have something like this in which to put all of his stuff. You know, every student would want to have one. The use of plastic for ingenious pieces of furniture was something the Italians did first. Units like this came from the Italians in 1972 or 3. I couldn't remember the final date. The Museum of Modern Art had an exhibition called Italy, the New Domestic Landscape, which was basically showing the innovative concepts for interiors, for residences that the Italians were coming up, which included, I think it was half a dozen units by major Italian architects and designers like this, which was sort of a unit that would incorporate, you know, bed and closet and storage and kitchen, and if it wasn't that, it was something similar to that. This kind of modular unit doesn't look, probably may not look weird to you now in that this kind of thing is being experimented with, has been experimented with. Not that a lot of people are living in them, but in 1969 it was a very new idea to play with something like this that could close and be essentially a cube and open up and be a living space. In this one, this is a bedroom that is enclosed with kind of, not drapery, this was for an exhibition. And again, a conceptual apartment with a bed as part of it. This was set up as a display. I don't think any of them were actually made, but the point was that the Italians were coming up with concepts, with new ideas. Cartel is a company that still exists and has made probably zillions of these in several different colors. So everything, basic storage units, they would stack up. You would have open units like this for bookshelves, or units on casters to go around for occasional tables. This is one of the most ingenious designs by a brilliant designer named Gaetano Pesce, who, last I knew, he was 101. I'm not sure if he died. But this was the up chair. It comes in a large square box. So the box is about this square, and it's about as deep as this table. It's compressed foam. So you take it out of the box. I once saw it actually being opened. You open the box, and it gradually, I mean, it doesn't take a couple of seconds because it's not a blow-up. It is, compressed under very, very high pressure. The foam gradually expands to be a full chair. It's a full-size chair. You can't put it back again. Once it expands, it's also comfortable. It's like, a foam, what, has anybody said it? What is the memory, like a memory foam mattress. But the idea of making a chair and ottoman out of this, and you see the cord to get it to blow up. What happens is you can ship it very inexpensively. So they are thinking, as Alto did, of furniture that is practical to actually do business in. These chairs here, these chairs are by Joe Colombo, the legs come off. The legs just snap on, they come off. So this is really knockdown furniture. Another thing, this is the New York skyline with the sun coming up. I don't think many of these were made, but this was the sofa that Pesce did. This is infused with a resin, so that what happens is you can sit in the chair and you can have it fully enclose you, or you can push the sides down and use them. Well, this is too high, but you can push them down more and sort of make armrests. So it's a matter of, again, and the rest of it is felt. So this is exploring technology. Pesce particularly likes working with polystyrene and resins. And in this case, he's pouring a resin floor. And he doesn't know how it will come out or how the colors will blend. And this was one of a series of chairs made for an exhibition at Pratt. And I think there were 10 of them. And each one came out a little bit differently because he took the mold out and then they sort of set. And the color runs differently. A chair like this with the